If you grew up glued to Channel 4 on Saturday mornings and Sunday afternoons, then you'll know exactly what we're talking about. Our last video, which dived into some of the stars of Gazzetta Football Italia, struck a real chord, and the response has been incredible. From the comments to the memories you shared, it's clear there's still huge love for that golden era of Italian football in the 90s and early 2000s. So first off, a massive thank you for getting behind the video. Because of that love, we're turning this into a proper series. And in this episode, we're diving back into the glory years of Serie A with another 10 legends who lit up the screen back then. From iconic strikers and stoic defenders, to one of the most beloved commentators in football history, this is the next chapter of Gazzetta Football Italia. Where are they now? If you aren't counting a brief loan with Monza, then Aleandro Costakerta is a one-club man in the truest sense. He was the thinking man's defender, cool, intelligent and endlessly reliable. He spent 21 seasons at AC Milan, debuting back in 1987 and retiring in 2007, just shy of his 41st birthday. During that time he formed part of one of the most iconic backlines in football history, alongside Franco Baresi, Paolo Maldini and Mauro Tassotti. He won everything there was to win: 7 Serie A titles, 5 European Cups or Champions Leagues to use the modern term, and a host of domestic and international trophies. While not as flashy as his defensive peers, he was a student of the game, known for his positioning, anticipation and timing, rather than pace or physicality. Internationally, Costakerta earned 59 caps for Italy, playing in the 1994 World Cup, where he helped guide the Azzurri to the final, although suspension meant he missed the showdown with Brazil. After retiring, Costakerta moved into coaching, remaining at the San Siro and serving as Carlo Ancelotti's assistant manager, before taking over as Mantova manager the following year in what was a short-lived spell. He's since become a familiar face on Italian TV, regularly working as a pundit. In more recent times he has spoken out in criticism of those who discriminate against women, as well as supporting gay rights, going on to state that he feels footballers should be allowed to be open about their sexuality. Costakerta was ever elegant, articulate, and fiercely Milanista. Costakerta remains one of Serie A's true greats, and a man who defined Italian defending for a generation. Janluca Vialli was more than a great footballer. He was a leader, a trailblazer, and one of the most beloved figures in the sport. His career spanned some of the greatest sides of the Gazzetta Football Italia era, and his legacy goes far beyond goals and medals. He first rose to fame at Sampdoria, where his legendary partnership with Roberto Mancini helped the club punch well above its weight. Together they led Samp to a Serie A title in 1990-91, 4 Coppa Italias, and a place in the 1992 European Cup final, narrowly losing to Barcelona at Wembley. Vialli's blend of physicality, finesse and tenacity made him one of the most feared forwards in Italy. A big money move to Juventus followed in 1992, at the time a world record transfer. In Turin, he won Serie A, the Coppa Italia, and most famously, the 1996 Champions League, captaining the side to glory in what turned out to be his final game for the club. Then came the bold move that would define his connection to English football, joining Chelsea in 1996. First as a player, then as player-manager, Vialli brought continental pedigree and glamour to the Premier League. He helped Chelsea win the FA Cup, League Cup and the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, laying early foundations for the modern Chelsea era. Internationally he was capped 59 times by the Azzurri, scoring 16 goals, and although he featured in the 1986 and 1990 World Cups, his retirement from the international stage in 1992 was seen by some as premature. In 2001, he took over as manager of Watford, in a move that surprised many. Though the results never quite matched expectations, his willingness to take on the challenge showed his continued love for the game, even outside the spotlight. Off the pitch, Vialli became a respected broadcaster and author, known for his insight, charm, and deep love for football. But in later years his story became one of courage, as he bravely battled pancreatic cancer, stepping away from the game and returning more than once, always with dignity. In 2019, he rejoined the national team's setup, linking up once again with Roberto Mancini as part of Italy's backroom staff. The emotional scenes of the pair embracing after winning Euro 2020, back at Wembley no less, gave football one of its most heartfelt moments in recent memory. Having suffered a second cancer diagnosis, Janluca Vialli passed away in London in January 2023, aged 58. His death sent shockwaves across the football world, with tributes pouring in from every corner of the game. In an era brimming with world-class Italian goalkeepers, Francesco Totti stood tall, quite literally. At 6'5", he was an imposing presence in goal, but it was his reflexes, leadership and calm under pressure that made him one of the most respected keepers of his generation. Totti made his name at Fiorentina, where he was a mainstay throughout the 1990s. As Viola climbed back into Serie A and then Europe, Totti was ever present, helping them to a Coppa Italia win in 1995-96 and earning a reputation as one of Italy's finest. Whether pulling off flying saves or commanding his box, Totti gave Fiorentina a sense of security during one of their most competitive spells. When Fiorentina's finances collapsed in 2001, he was snapped up by Inter Milan, where he would spend the next 9 seasons. In his early Inter years, Totti was first choice and continued to shine, including some big Champions League performances and penalty heroics. He won 5 Serie A titles, 3 Coppa Italias, and the Champions League in 2010 under Jose Mourinho, though by that point he had become second choice behind Julio Cesar. Internationally, Totti is perhaps best remembered for Euro 2000, where an injury to Gianluigi Buffon saw him step up as Italy's number 1. He produced one of the most iconic goalkeeping performances in tournament history during the semi-final against the Netherlands, saving a penalty in normal time and another 2 in the shootout. Italy went on to lose the final in heartbreaking fashion to France via a golden goal, but Totti's performances were unforgettable. After retiring in 2010, he remained connected to Inter, working in youth development and ambassadorial roles. He's also involved in charity football and legends events, and continues to be a popular figure in Italian media and football circles. In the golden age of Serie A, where defenders dominated and flair was often stifled, Giuseppe Senori found a way to shine. A small left-footed forward with a laser-guided shot and a goal-scoring instinct that made him one of the league's deadliest finishers. Senori made his breakthrough at Foggia under the attack-minded Zdenek Zeman, in a team that thrilled fans with its kamikaze style of play. That chaos suited Senori perfectly, and his goals earned him a move to Lazio in 1992, where he truly became a star of the Gazzetta Football Italia era. At Lazio, he was electric. Over 5 seasons, Senori scored over 100 goals, winning the Serie A Capocannoniere top scorer title 3 times. His trademark? Deadly finishing, a wand of a left foot, and an iconic penalty technique, taken with no run-up, just a stand and snap strike that almost always found the net. Despite his club heroics, Senori's Italy career was more complicated. He earned 28 caps and played at USA 94, but was often marginalized under Arrigo Sacchi, even playing out of position at times. Many still believe Italy underused him in his prime. After Lazio, Senori had a second wind at Bologna, where he once again became a talisman, helping them qualify for Europe and scoring freely into his mid-30s. He later had short spells at Iraklis in Greece and even Sopron in Hungary before retiring in 2006. Off the pitch, however, things took a dramatic turn. In 2011, Senori was implicated in the Italian match-to-fixing scandal and banned from football activity. He fought the charges for years, insisting on his innocence. And in 2021, he was completely acquitted, clearing his name after a decade-long battle. The moment was emotional, and many in Italy saw it as long overdue justice. These days, Senori has returned to public life, appearing in interviews, TV specials, and speaking with pride about both his goals and his redemption. Lazio and Bologna fans still hold him in the highest regard, and for those who grew up watching Serie A in the 90s, he remains a cult hero. Roberto Mancini was the creative heartbeat of Sampdoria's golden era, a graceful playmaker with sublime technique and a fiery edge. Alongside Janluca Vialli, he helped guide the Blucerchiati to their only Serie A title in 1990-91, and to the 1992 European Cup final, where they were narrowly beaten by Barcelona at Wembley. Mancini spent 15 years at Sampdoria, becoming the face of the club. With his sharp eye for a pass and knack for the spectacular, he was a mainstay of Channel 4's Gazzetta Football Italia broadcasts. After leaving Samp, he moved to Lazio, where he won another Serie A title, a Cup Winners' Cup, and 2 Coppa Italias, further cementing his legacy. In 2001, just before retirement, Mancini had a brief and lesser-known loan spell at Leicester City in the Premier League. making a handful of appearances in what was an unexpected swan song in English football. Despite his immense club career, Mancini was never fully embraced by the Italian national team as a player, earning 36 caps but never appearing in a World Cup. However, his impact as a manager has far surpassed that. He won 3 Serie A titles with Inter, broke new ground with Manchester City by winning the FA Cup and delivering their first Premier League title in 2012, sealed in that legendary stoppage-time finale against QPR. He had spells at Galatasaray, Zenit St. Petersburg, and back with Inter, before most famously, he revitalized a broken Italy side as national coach, taking over in 2018 and leading them to an astonishing Euro 2020 triumph, their first European championship since 1968. The emotional scenes of his reunion with Janluca Vialli in the backroom team made the story even more special. In 2023, Mancini became the manager of Saudi Arabia, a controversial move that drew criticism back home, especially after the national side failed to qualify for the 2022 World Cup. His tenure, though, was both short and unsuccessful, and he left a year later. Few players embodied the word superstar in the 90s, quite like George Weah. The first, and still only, African player to win the Ballon d'Or, Weah was a phenomenon, fast, powerful, technically brilliant, and capable of producing moments of magic that still defy belief. By the time Gazzetta Football Italia reached UK screens, Weah had already dazzled at Monaco and PSG. But it was at AC Milan where he truly became a global icon. Joining the Rossoneri in 1995, he slotted straight into a side packed with stars, and still stood out. He won Serie A titles in 1995-96 and 1998-99, but more than silverware, it was his style that left a mark. None more so than that goal against Verona in 1996, when he picked the ball up inside his own box, beat half the opposition and slotted home one of the most incredible solo goals Serie A has ever seen. It was raw athleticism, cool finishing, and pure theatre, all in one run. Off the pitch, Weah carried himself with humility and purpose, using his platform to promote peace and education in his native Liberia, even while still playing at the top level. Later in his career, he moved to the Premier League and had spells with Chelsea, where he won the FA Cup in 2000 before a stint with Manchester City. He later played for the likes of Marseille, before winding down at Al Jazeera in the UAE. But it was always Milan where his legend was written in boldest ink. After retirement, Weah didn't just fade into football punditry, he went into politics, and not as a novelty act. In 2017, after years of campaigning, he was elected president of Liberia, becoming the first former Ballon d'Or winner to lead a country. During his presidency, Weah focused on education reform and national unity, though his term was met with mixed reviews over economic challenges. He left office in 2024 after a hard-fought election loss, promising to continue working for Liberia's future. For fans of Gazzetta Football Italia, Giuseppe Burgomi was the face of Inter Milan's defense. A player who spanned generations, styles and eras, all while wearing the famous black and blue with unwavering loyalty. Nicknamed Lo Zio, the uncle, for his mature look even as a teenager, Burgomi made his debut for Inter in 1980, at just 16 years old. Over the next 20 seasons, he would go on to make more than 750 appearances for the Nerazzurri, spending his entire career with one club, through ups, downs and multiple rebuilds. Positionally versatile and tactically superb, Burgomi could play anywhere across the back four. He played a major part in Inter's 88-89 Scudetto-winning team, and was a mainstay in their 3 UEFA Cup triumphs, captaining the side and rarely putting a foot wrong. On the international stage, Burgomi was just as dependable. He was part of Italy's 1982 World Cup winning squad at the age of 18, playing in the final against West Germany, and would go on to earn 81 caps, appearing in 4 World Cups. After being left out for several years, he made a dramatic return to the national team at France '98, aged 34, starting every game as Italy reached the quarter-finals. Following his retirement in 1999, Burgomi didn't immediately head for the TV studio. He first tried his hand at coaching, working with the Inter Youth Academy, and later with Monza's youth setup, helping develop the next generation of Italian talent. Though he didn't pursue a full managerial career, his calm authority and deep understanding of the game translated naturally into a leadership role. He later found his niche as a television pundit and co-commentator, becoming one of the most respected voices on Sky Sport Italia. Known for his measured tone, tactical insight, and lack of ego, Burgomi remains a trusted presence in Italian football media. Today, he continues to be closely tied to Inter, frequently appearing in Legends events and charity games, while offering sharp analysis on modern football with the same clarity he once brought to the pitch. Few players were as instantly recognizable in the 90s as Fabrizio Ravenelli. With his shock of silver hair, fiery intensity, and trademark shirt-over-the-head celebration, the white feather became one of the most memorable forwards of the Gazzetta Football Italia era. Ravenelli's rise to prominence came at Juventus, where he was part of a golden attacking trident alongside Janluca Vialli and Alessandro Del Piero. He played a pivotal role in Juve's '96 Champions League triumph, famously scoring the opening goal in the final against Ajax. He also won Serie A, the Coppa Italia, and the UEFA Cup during his time in Turin, but it was his shock move from Europe's elite to unfavored Premier League relegation strugglers Middlesbrough later that year that stunned Italian football fans and captivated Premier League viewers. Joining Borough for a then hefty £7 million, Ravenelli exploded onto the scene with a hat-trick on his debut against Liverpool. His time on Teesside was electric but turbulent. He scored over 30 goals in all competitions, but reportedly clashed with teammates and the club hierarchy. Despite reaching both domestic cup finals, Borough were relegated in a wild, chaotic season. After leaving the club, Ravenelli moved to France with Marseille before returning to Serie A with Lazio, where he added another Coppa Italia and UEFA Super Cup to his collection before spells at Derby County and a bizarre spell with Dundee in Scotland before eventually retiring back in Italy with Perugia in 2005. Post-retirement, Ravenelli turned to coaching, though his managerial career has been stop-start. He had a brief spell in charge of Ajaccio in France, managed Arsenal Kyiv in Ukraine, and worked with Juventus's youth teams, but none of those roles lasted long. In recent years, he's become a regular on Italian football TV, often appearing as a pundit or guest on debate shows. His passionate, sometimes combustible personality still shines through, and he's never short of an opinion. While his namesake Roberto captured the spotlight, Dino Bazzi quietly built a reputation as one of the most reliable and effective midfielders of 90s Italian football. Strong in the tackle, dominant in the air, and blessed with a knack for scoring important goals, Dino was the beating heart of midfield for club and country. After emerging at Torino, Dino moved to Juventus in the early 90s, but it was at Parma where he found his true home, joining in 1994 as part of the club's golden era under Nevio Scala. Alongside the likes of Lilian Thuram, Fabio Cannavaro, Juan Sebastian Veron, and Hernan Crespo, Baggio brought steel and balance to a side bursting with attacking flair. He played a central role in Parma's most successful period, helping them lift 2 UEFA Cups, a Coppa Italia, and finishing runners-up in the league. Notably, he scored twice against Juventus in the 1995 UEFA Cup final, a poetic moment against his former club. Baggio was the ultimate box-to-box midfielder. He may not have dribbled like Zidane or passed like Pirlo, but he covered every blade of grass, protected his defense, and popped up with crucial goals, especially in European games, where he seemed to thrive under pressure. On the international stage, Baggio earned 60 caps for Italy and played key roles in both USA '94, where Italy reached the World Cup final, and Euro '96. His long-range goal against Norway in '94 remains one of the Azzurri's most memorable tournament strikes. Later in his career, he had stints with Lazio, Inter, and even a short loan to Blackburn Rovers, before winding down at lower league sides Triestina and Ancona. He retired in the mid-2000s. In retirement, Dino stepped away from the limelight for many years, but re-emerged recently in interviews and charity matches. In 2023, he was briefly hospitalized after a heavy blow to the head in a veterans game, a serious incident, but thankfully he recovered fully. In an era blessed with world-class Italian defenders, Shiro Ferrara was the model of consistency. A commanding centre-back with sharp positioning, fierce determination, and calm authority, he excelled for both club and country, and remains one of the great unsung heroes of the Gazzetta Football Italia era. Born in Naples, Ferrara was a hometown hero who came through the ranks at Napoli. Playing alongside Diego Maradona, he was a key figure in the club's golden era, helping them win 2 Serie A titles, a Coppa Italia, and the 1989 UEFA Cup. With Ferrara in defense and Maradona up front, Napoli became a force few could stop, and Ferrara became a symbol of the team's grit and pride. In 1994, amid Napoli's financial troubles, he joined Juventus, where he went on to win everything. Over 11 seasons in Turin, Ferrara added 6 Serie A titles, a Champions League in 1996, plus a UEFA Super Cup and Intercontinental Cup to his collection. Quietly effective and tactically sound, he was a vital part of one of the most dominant sides of the 90s. He also earned 49 caps for Italy, playing in World Cup '90 on home soil and Euro 2000 among others. While injuries and fierce competition sometimes limited his international appearances, he was always seen as a reliable figure in the Azzurri squad. After retiring in 2005, Ferrara stepped into coaching, starting as assistant to Marcello Lippi, before taking over Italy's under-21s, and later managing Juventus during a difficult transitional spell in 2009. He later had a short stint in charge of Sampdoria, but results were mixed. Then, in 2017, Ferrara took an unexpected detour, becoming manager of Chinese club Wuhan Zol. While the move didn't last long, it reflected the growing trend of Italian coaches working abroad, and showed Ferrara's willingness to embrace the global side of the modern game. Today, Ferrara is a familiar face on Italian football TV, respected for his calm analysis and deep tactical insight. He also remains a cherished link to both the Maradona era of Napoli and Lippi's Juventus dynasty, a man who quietly helped shape two of the greatest sides in Serie A history. And finally, for a generation of football fans, Peter Brackley wasn't just a commentator. He was the voice of Italian football. His smooth delivery, dry humor, and understated style made him the perfect fit for Channel 4's Gazzetta Football Italia, where he brought the drama of Serie A into British living rooms throughout the 1990s. Brackley's tone was never forced. He didn't shout, he didn't overhype, yet he made every game feel important, even if it was Reggiana versus Verona on a rainy afternoon. Commentating solo from a studio in England, he managed to create a sense of occasion and intimacy that helped build a cult following for Italian football in the UK. But while Gazzetta made him a household name, Peter Brackley's career extended far beyond those Sunday afternoons. Following the end of Channel 4's coverage in 2002, Brackley remained a major figure in UK sports broadcasting. He became a regular voice on ITV Sport, covering Premier League, FA Cup, and Champions League matches, often as the calm, composed alternative to more bombastic commentary styles. He also contributed commentary to major tournaments, including World Cups and European Championships. Brackley was also a key figure in video game commentary, lending his voice to several editions of the Pro Evolution Soccer series in the early 2000s, where fans came to know his voice in an entirely new context. For many gamers, he became just as familiar as he had been on Channel 4. In addition to sport, he had a parallel career as a voice actor and comedy impressionist, contributing to shows like Spitting Image, The Football's On, and other radio and television comedy projects. His quick wit and natural comic timing, rarely obvious during his football commentary, came through clearly in these roles, and earned him admiration in entertainment circles as well. Throughout the 2000s and 2010s, Brackley remained active in media, voice work, and live events, while also giving public talks and writing about his broadcasting career. He was respected not just for his talent, but for his generosity with young broadcasters, often mentoring those breaking into the industry. Peter Brackley passed away in 2018 at the age of 67, and the tributes were heartfelt and widespread, from broadcasters, former players, journalists, and fans who had grown up with his voice as part of their football experience. And that's it for part 2. But we're just getting started. Let us know in the comments who you want to see in part 3. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next episode. This is Retro Football Club, where we dive deep into the stories, players, and nostalgia that made football magic. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for more legends, more memories, and more football that's just a little bit more calcio.